This podcast is brought to you by Elite Level Status Wines. My wine journey started with drinking cheap grocery store wines that were really acidic and gave me headaches. Then I switched to quote-unquote luxury, but overpriced, full-bodied wines that were really heavy and had a bad aftertaste. The inability to find the perfect wine led to the creation of Elite Level Status Wines. Elite Level Status Wines are approachable, medium-bodied wines with great flavor and minimal aftertaste. And with me being a health-conscious person, I wanted to create a wine that was lower in sugar and lower in calories than the full-bodied mass-produced wines that we always see. We currently have two wines. First is our Cabernet. It has notes of blackberry, cinnamon, plum, nutmeg, and French vanilla. Then we also have our rosé wine. Our rosé is going to be a flat, dry, pink rosé with subtle strawberry and raspberry flavors. Both wines are medium-bodied wines with less sugar and less calories, and they're both available on my website, elsfinewine.com. Check them out, and I hope you love them. The Elite Level Status Podcast is a motivational podcast designed to help aspirational people become elite. Today's guest is elite in every sense of the word. She's a master hairstylist and wardrobe stylist, a competitive fitness model, and Deluxe Version Magazine's 2024 Woman of the Year. Today's guest, Elena Machin. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
As you know, I make wine. I would offer you some, but as a competitive fitness model, I'm sure you're probably not drinking right now. So I brought you something else.
Okay.
So I also make scented candles.
Wow, you're going to make a good husband one day. He makes wine and candles, girls.
Yeah. So,
pay attention.
So my kind of why is, it's about the mental clarity. I've got a lot going on. Wine, I'm starting a clothing line as well. When I go home, I need to be able to mentally reset.
Yes.
And so I can focus and clear that brain fog so I can continue to be productive.
Yes.
So that's kind of like my why. But I brought these for you, and we can kind of do a live like candle test if you want, like on camera. Hopefully you love them.
Yeah.
So I have two for you to try. I have lavender, eucalyptus, and citrus fruit.
Perfect.
So I'm going to hand these over to you.
Thank you.
And if you like those, then they are yours to keep.
Yes. Very relaxing.
Exactly. So
what's going on here? Very clean.
Yes.
So I feel like I would light this during the day.
Yes.
When I'm, doing stuff around my house, putting flowers together, and then this would be more of an evening candle. I love them both. Thank you so much.
We are on the same page. All right, cool. So
you
can keep those.
Thank you.
I want to go ahead and jump right into it.
Yeah.
So let's start with your background. Tell me where and how you grew up and what led you to becoming a stylist.
So I was born and raised in Las Vegas.
Okay.
We are unicorns.
Okay.
Because there wasn't, the population. I mean, when I graduated high school in 1989, the population was 250,000 people.
Wow.
And now I think we're over 2 million or something like that. Yeah. So born and raised here of two immigrant Cuban parents. Okay. My mother came when she was 9. It was during the revolution. My dad was much older. And he ended up in Las Vegas because a lot of Cubans left Cuba to come to Vegas. They were in the gaming field.
Really?
Las Vegas was the only other place besides Cuba that had gaming. So it was a good Cuban community that kind of came to Las Vegas and they met here.
Okay.
But in my dad's earlier years as a kid, he was a barber.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And so was my grandfather.
Okay.
So what ended up happening is as a little girl, every Sunday, all my dad's friends would pile into the house. They'd have Cuban coffee, pastries, all these things. And my dad would barber them up in the kitchen.
Okay.
I would see them all sitting around the table, talking smack about how they're going to take Fidel down or all the political stuff, right? All the bad political stuff. And I just remember as a kid thinking like, wow, that's a really cool job. He's like hanging out with his friends.
Yeah.
He's getting paid to hang out with his friends.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's what really put the bug inside of me.
Okay.
I've always been into style and fashion and all that kind of stuff. And so during high school, when I had to decide what I was going to do after high school, I kind of grew up a little bit green in the sense of our family kept us tight and home. I wasn't like running the streets or anything.
Yeah.
And UNLV didn't have any program that had anything to do with fashion. Okay. And I knew that I couldn't survive like moving to LA by myself. I just didn't have it in me.
Right.
So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to beauty school because I'm also have always been interested in hair. And I'll do hair for a couple years. And then when I feel like I'm mature enough, I'll move to LA and do that. Well, my first week of beauty school, I was like, nope, this is where I'm meant to be.
Okay. Like, so you never ended up going to LA to try that out. You've been based here the entire time?
I did go to UNLV for a semester because my father forced me to.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to say immigrant mentality, but my dad's like, you have to go to college. You have to go to college in America. You have to go to college. I said, but I know I want to be a hairstylist. And he goes, well, how do you know it unless you go to school?
Yeah.
So I went a whole semester to waste my time, his time, and his money, but just to prove him wrong that I still wanted to be a hairstylist.
Yeah.
And so, so when I was 18, I got into beauty school, and that was about a year, and then just jumped right into being a hairstylist.
I like it. So would it be fair to say that that was driven by two things, your passion, but also the ability to connect with people and connect with your clients as you're working?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've always been a social person. I love talking. I love sharing ideas and all that. And so I saw that as a job where I could do something that I love and be creative, the hair side, and then still get to really connect with people daily.
Yeah. I like it. And you're providing something that's always going to be needed. I mean, it's not like, there will ever be like a down market for the services that you provide.
Oh, yeah. Lots of phone calls during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a necessity.
I can only imagine. But, as a business person myself, I'm always thinking in terms of, when I see how people are making money, I just kind of like put myself in their shoes. Like, okay, what's the potential market? Is it passion based? Is it, money based? But with you, I think that there's a solid why behind many different solid whys for why you want to be a stylist. Because it's always needed, but you are helping people. Yeah,
I mean, it's a necessity, but it's also a very how do I say? I would say a happy business.
Yeah,
because people come in, they hate their husband, they hate their kids, they hate their job, they're having a bad day, and by the time they leave, they feel like a million. They always leave feeling better. It's so positive.
Interesting. So you have to like partly be a therapist in a way for some people.
So I call myself a hairapist.
A hairapist.
I'm a hairapist.
Yeah. Because I'm sure you have to listen to a whole lot of.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe what I know.
Right. And interesting. So what made you get into fitness? How did
so that it's funny because growing up, I was never an athlete. In high school, I didn't do any sports.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, no. I sang in high school and did like singing theater stuff.
Okay.
So again, back to the arts, right?
Yeah.
It's all in arts. And then in my 20s, I started finding my way to the gym.
Okay.
Didn't know much. And so I just did cardio.
Okay.
So I was kind of like skinny fat.
Okay.
And
cardio's important though.
It is, but if you're not lifting weights, you're just kind of skinny fat.
Yeah.
And my brother's friend at that time was a trainer.
Okay.
And he's like, you should really try lifting weights. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to look like a man. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Let me show you the way.
Okay.
So I trained with him for a couple months and I noticed a difference. And he ended up moving from an original Gold's Gym on Sand Hill and Flamingo, which is I think like the OG Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
To a one in Green Valley.
Wow, Gold's Gym. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I went to that Gold's Gym, and a couple months after, he ended up moving back home wherever he was from.
Okay.
And I found another trainer there. I was with Kenny for about a couple years, and he said to me, you should do a fitness competition. And I was like, I'm not a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And I don't want to look like a man.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, no, there's a new division out. Long story short, he said, let's go to this show. And I'm going to show you what it's about. I went to the show and I was like, oh, I can do that. Because I've never been shy and I've always been confident and all that stuff. And once I saw, then I was like, okay, I'm down.
So let's dive into what stood out. So you go to this show full of professionals. So what stood out that made you so confident that you looked at that and was like, okay, I can definitely do this?
Right. So it wasn't professionals.
Okay.
So that's what I thought in my mind. I was like, oh, I'm going to go up there. Like, I don't have the body to do this. But it was basically the Las Vegas Classic. And it was just, people in shape and this and that. And it was the first year the bikini had come on the scene. And so there was really no outline to it. Everybody was wearing their favorite bikini. I mean, my first show, I wore Louboutins and hoop earrings and like the bikini that I bought off of a rack or something like that. It was really crazy. So it wasn't as regimented as I thought it was going to be. And so when I saw the girls getting up there and just kind of doing their thing, I was like, I could definitely do that. Also in my 20s, I used to go dance at Rum Jungle, at House of Blues. So I was kind of used to being, I guess, on the stage and people looking at you.
Yeah, that has to have helped you.
Absolutely. Okay. That definitely gave me even more confidence. Like, oh yeah, everyone's just going to be looking at me. Right. Okay, that's what they do when I'm dancing.
You kind of had a tailor-made background to be a fitness model.
I did.
That's very interesting. So as far as like when you get on stage, they're not giving you too many rules and guidelines, it sounds like, as to what you have to wear and all that. They allow you to express yourself.
Yes.
And you look at that like, okay, well, if you're going to let us express ourselves, then good luck to all y'all trying to be.
I'm going to show out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so my first, I think, 4 competitions was like that.
Okay.
And then they started building like an outline of what that needed to look like.
Okay.
Has to be clear shoes.
Okay.
It wasn't like G-strings like they are now. And then over the years, it's obviously evolved, just like the new fit model category is going to evolve also. But yeah, so I did it from when I was 33 to when I was 41.
Interesting. So let's talk about the training. So you start working out, you start lifting weights.
Right.
But then I would imagine that once you start preparing for actual competitions, there has to be a change that's made. So kind of dive into when you first started lifting weights, what were you doing?
Right.
Was it like high weight, low reps, or, the opposite? And then how does that change? You're actually training for an actual competition, and then the diet too. I can only imagine that dieting is not fun.
It's not.
But you have a bigger purpose. You have a bigger why. And I'm very big on people's why. Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
And then as long as you have a strong foundational why, I believe that you can be successful. So I definitely want to hear yours. And I think for our audience too, that'll be interesting.
So I think that initially, again, the bikini girls weren't that muscular.
Right.
So I wasn't like lifting super heavy.
Okay.
You just had to be toned and have some muscle definition.
Yeah.
So once I started training with Kenny, I started building muscle pretty good. And then at that point, when it came competition time, it was more about bringing your body fat down. So that's where the diet comes into play. Also, the diet wasn't as strict back then because you didn't have to be as lean. They don't want to see veins popping. They don't want to see separation in the muscles. They just want you nice and toned and tan and all those things. So like I said, there wasn't even posing. So those first 10 years, 8 years that I competed, it wasn't like that. It was only when I got back into it that I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy what's going on in the industry. So the diet definitely, it prevents you from having like a social life because you have to cook all your food at home.
Oh, okay. So you can't go out to eat.
You can't.
Okay.
Because they put sugar in chicken water and they put and in rice and oil. And as much as you think, I don't care, you can go to any of these places that you think are healthy.
Yeah.
Until you make it at home, that's the only time you really know.
Can we get an example of what a daily diet looks like for you?
Sure.
How many times are you eating? And then what is give us a couple examples of your breakfast and your dinner.
So my breakfast in the morning is a half a cup of egg whites.
Okay.
Half a cup of oatmeal and a half a cup of blueberries. Sometimes I kind of blend that all and make like a protein pancake.
Okay.
Just because you want to switch it up because you're eating pretty much the same 10 things for 12 weeks.
And the discipline required, a half a cup of this, a half a cup of that.
Measure everything.
The discipline is insane. But I feel like if you're disciplined enough to do that there, it's easy to carry over into your styling and other areas of your life. So I can kind of see how being a fitness model can help you in basically all aspects of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, interesting.
If I really had to pick one word, discipline would be the word.
Absolutely.
That's by far the number one thing that it takes to do these competitions.
Yeah, and discipline, it's a word I feel like a lot of people just spew out. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, be disciplined. A lot harder to do than to just say.
Yes.
But you were forced to exemplify that, especially with being a fitness model. So that's definitely a positive aspect of what you're doing. So, okay, breakfast. Okay.
Yes.
Give us an example of lunch and dinner.
So let's say I have my breakfast.
Okay.
I go and train.
Okay.
Then I'm going to have a protein shake. Then my lunch is going to be 4 ounces of lean protein. Sometimes it's turkey, sometimes it's chicken. a half a cup of white rice, and a whole cup of greens, broccoli, asparagus, whatever you want that green to be. And then midday, probably a protein shake again. And then for dinner, it'll be 4 ounces of lean meat, usually fish, like a white fish, and a cup of green veggies.
What grocery store are you shopping at to buy these foods? Are you like Whole Foods, or does it matter?
You know,
Smith's?
For the fish, I go to Whole Foods.
Okay.
And the rest of my stuff, I go to Trader Joe's. It's down the street from my house. I can find everything I need there. Yeah. Super easy.
And I would imagine that you're all about the organic, highest quality foods possible to put into your body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if it's not organic, it's pumped with a bunch of other shit.
Right.
And if it's in that, it's going to be in you.
Right.
Right?
Interesting.
So you want to try to get the best quality of everything you can.
Yeah. And I try to be mindful of that as well. Just, what you put into your body is a representation of how you feel about yourself.
Absolutely.
Right. So, and I've said on our previous podcast as well, a lot of people complain that eating organic and buying better food is too expensive or whatever. But I say it's not as expensive as a hospital bill.
Exactly.
If you were to get sick. So it's better to make that investment in yourself up front.
100%. 100%.
Okay. So the only snacks you can do are protein shakes, or are you able to snack on fruit?
I can do no fruit.
No fruit?
Sugar. The only fruit I have is blueberries in the morning. It's my only sugar.
Well,
yeah.
I have a lot of fruit at my house.
Yeah. I mean, your body metabolizes it different than if you're having a Frappuccino.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'll be, and here's the thing. I send weekly progress pictures to my coach in my competition suit. Okay. And so every week he tweaks it. Sometimes if I'm looking too lean or like I need a little bit more body fat, he'll have me add a whole egg into my egg whites in the morning or something of that nature. So it's getting tweaked usually, I'm going to say bi-weekly.
Okay.
Because also a lot of times they want you to have food versus like a protein shake.
Right. Understood.
So maybe my second snack will be 2 ounces of chicken, some chicken strips, and, 4 asparagus spears or something of that nature.
Okay, so I have another question now.
Sure.
So within the fitness industry, they're telling, your coach is telling you to watch how much fruit you eat because it's high in sugar. Is that accurate?
But here's the thing. I wouldn't say my coach is telling me don't eat fruit. Uh-huh. You're doing a competition and your coach gives you your diet.
Right.
And you just follow it.
Right. Okay. Understood.
Back to discipline.
Understood.
You're not like, oh, can I substitute it for pineapple? No, bitch. This is what you're eating. Here's your paper. And if you want to do it, this is what we're doing.
Right.
And that's it.
Understood. And again, it goes back to the discipline.
Back to the discipline.
For the protein shakes, are you, does it matter to you what type of protein? I know we have whey protein and all these other different proteins out there. Is one better than the other in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think that each one of them is different with everyone's body.
Okay.
Somebody can't handle whey, so they do vegan, so on and so forth. My coach is more about what is the protein count in it, what are the carb counts, things like that. Okay. So that's what he's looking for, not so much, what kind. Yeah. I have supplements that are my favorites that I use one whole line only, and I just stick with that.
Interesting. So let's dive into the supplements. So what, if you had to name your top 3 supplements that anyone could go and use?
Yes.
And I know this is kind of off the top of your head, but give me your top 3 supplements, but also the why. Why do you believe in them so much?
Right. So BCAA with EAAs, glutamine, and creatine.
We're talking about supplements as I'm drinking some of my wine. But
drink up, boo. Drink up.
Okay. So BCAAs.
Yes.
What does that stand for?
Branched chain amino acids.
Okay. And why?
And we
why
all need them because our body makes them. And as we get older, they don't make it as much.
Okay.
And it kind of helps with muscle repair and endurance. And so I make a drink that has my BCAA, scoop of glutamine, scoop of, what did I say the other one was? Glutamine, BCAA, and creatine. Okay. And I put it in a shaker. Okay. I make a pretty big one. I drink half of it as I'm driving to my training, and the other half I drink while I'm training.
Okay. And you would agree that that's a supplement that everyone should be taking, even if you're not training to be a fitness model?
Well, I don't know so much because it's really about muscle support.
Okay.
But creatine has a million other things that it does for brain function.
Okay.
I mean, they all do something a little bit extra. So for women, especially, I'm 54, I think as you get older, you should definitely include supplements in your life no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I also take just a regular woman's daily supplement, something like that. But you said my top 3, those are my top 3.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. The creatine, I'm taking that as well. There's a lot of benefits for men on that as well. And our mutual friend, my Pilates teacher is one of your friends as well. And she had mentioned creatine the other day. So I definitely went and bought some.
Yeah.
And so I've been taking it for, literally I just started this like 6 or 7 days ago, but I can already tell in my workouts, I do feel like I can push harder longer.
Yes.
And like the recovery has been a little better as well. So I like it so far. So we'll see what happens with that.
Even so I'm off season right now, but I still have that.
Right.
When I go to my trainer and I make sure to try to at least have 1 serving of each of them a day.
Right. Understood.
Yeah.
So how does the dieting differ from off season to in season?
It's a big difference. Like, yes and no.
Off season, do you like have cheat days? Are you eating like I don't know what you like?
Here's the thing: you kind of have to learn. You're not really thinking of it as a cheat day.
Okay.
You have to decide: is this going to be my lifestyle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's a lifestyle.
I like it. Yes.
Yes.
It's almost like you've like listened to my prior podcast, but I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Dieting and all of that, I don't think it's worth it because you diet for a couple of months and then what do you do when the diet's over? You just go back to square one.
Exactly.
You got to make a lifestyle change.
Exactly.
Okay. Keep going because I love where you're going.
Never use the word diet. Even my clients, as they watch me transform and go through all this, they're like, oh, I want to be on a diet. I'm like, bad word.
Yeah.
Because it has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
And I think that people in their mind, once they hear the word diet, they think they can't have something.
Yes.
And what do we want to do when people tell us we can't?
This is facts. This is facts.
When someone tells me I can, I'm like, oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Watch me.
Yeah.
So basically for me, I don't ever use that word. I just say, this is my lifestyle. And when I'm competing, I'm a lot stricter. And when I'm not, I have a lot more leeway.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have French fries when I want. I'll have a dessert. I will do, you need balance, people.
The world needs to understand what we're talking about right now.
Absolutely.
Very, very, very important.
Yeah.
If it's not something that you can do for the rest of your life, then don't do it. This has to be a lifestyle change.
Exactly. And I start off by telling, again, because obviously I'm talking to my clients every day and a lot of women and women over 40, I tell them, don't set yourself up for failure. Like, oh my God, I'm only going to eat chicken and asparagus. No, you're not.
No, you're not. Yeah, that's not realistic.
So, and then what happens is you don't follow that and then you're like, oh, F it. I'm just going to eat what I want for the rest of the day. No. And if you're smart enough to say, you know what, I'm going to make better choices.
Yes.
Those are the words that I use for my girls. I tell them, you're going out to dinner, instead of having a cheeseburger, have salmon and a salad.
Yeah.
Or just think of it like that. Start training your brain to make better choices. If you're a person who loves to drink, say, you know what, I'm only going to drink on the weekends.
Yeah.
Because that's empty calories and, you know, all the other things that come along with it. So I think that I've just programmed myself for years, obviously, to just make better choices. But I make bad choices all the time too.
But everybody does.
And I'm okay with it.
Everybody does though. No one's perfect.
Exactly.
And you have to be at peace with that.
Exactly.
And know that you have an overarching system that when you execute it on a day-by-day basis, overall you will be healthy.
Yes.
Because when people don't follow I'm only going to eat asparagus, and they don't follow it, now that's negative energy. And now they're thinking negative thoughts. And it defeats the whole purpose.
Right.
So,
and then they just say, oh, forget it.
Exactly.
I fell off the wagon. I'm just going to stay off the wagon.
Exactly. And now we're completely back at square one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I think getting back into the competitive world, what I've also learned to do is I was never really a sweets person. I'm more of like a carb and salt person.
Okay.
But for some reason, I think maybe hormonal change for women, things like that, I found myself wanting more sweets. So what did I do with the internet nowadays? You can find anything. I've adopted a lot of recipes to make something that's like a dessert, but with Greek yogurt and protein powder.
Brilliant.
You know, it's like peanut butter, whatever, and
Brilliant.
Using dates and things like that. So I've really done the research to find things that are sweet that aren't really, you know, over the top.
So you can still get that sweet taste, but it's healthier than the actual.
Exactly.
That's genius. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So now I want to discuss kind of like time management and how do you manage the demands of being a stylist with your training, with your diet? How does that all go together? Like, are you big on like taking like setting up your daily schedule, like maybe on your phone, writing things out? How do you kind of go about managing all the different things that you have going on?
Yes. I think that once I decided to get back into competing, I realized that I had to come out with a format for myself.
Yes.
I am happy to say, as much as I love hair, that I'm semi-retired. So I only work 3 days a week. I do 3 10-hour days.
Okay.
So I kind of mapped out a schedule for myself and also with my trainer on what that was going to look like, that journey, that 12, the first time I did 12 weeks, the next time I did 14 weeks because I wanted to come back better.
Right.
So I just really sat down and managed that. Again, everyone's different, but for me, I take one whole day off. That's Tuesday. That's the first day of my work week. Okay. On Wednesday mornings, I wake up at 5:30. I do my fasted cardio. I train myself. I get ready. I go to work 10 hours. Thursday morning, same thing. Friday, I'm able to sleep in a little bit longer because I don't see my trainer till noon. Mm-hmm. So now I'm sleeping till 6 or 6:30, nothing crazy, and get up, do my fasted cardio, go see my trainer, make sure I prep my food. I cook like 3 times a week. And so once it's there, you just got to pull it from the fridge. It's weighed out. I do it all in Ziploc bags.
Yeah.
And that way there's my chicken, there's my rice, there's my greens.
I like it.
Yeah.
You mentioned fasted cardio.
Mm-hmm.
So why in fasted, you're not eating, you're waking up going to do your cardio. Why is that better than eating something before you do your cardio?
It's not necessarily that it's better, but it's going to tap into my glycogen and burn more fat if I had any stored from the night before.
Interesting.
So therefore, if I was to eat and then do the cardio, I'm going to burn what I just ate.
Interesting.
I really want to burn what's left over from the night before.
Interesting.
And it is amazing, even now that I'm not competing, because now I'm really in a routine. I wake up every morning and I jump on my treadmill. Okay. And even if I'm not running, because when I'm competing, I got to really, I'm just walking for 30 minutes every morning now.
Interesting.
Starting my day like that. And it is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your main cardio is your treadmill. Do you switch it up? Do you stick with that?
I do. So I do that fasted cardio every morning. Okay. And then I train with my trainer. I weight train with him for an hour, maybe sometimes an hour and 15. And then I do 30 minutes of cardio after that. Okay. And I get on the step mill.
Okay. So when are you eating breakfast then?
In between.
Before you train?
Yes. So I'll wake up the days that I'm with my trainer, since I don't train till noon. Okay. I wake up early. Okay. I do my fasted cardio. I eat my breakfast. After train with him at noon. Okay. And then have a shake post workout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So throughout your fitness journey, what were some of the tougher moments or obstacles that you faced? And more importantly, how did you overcome them?
So I'm going to tell you a pretty sad story, which almost made me not ever compete. Okay. My first show, I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to put anybody on Front Street, but you diet, you train, you get ready. I have my coach, Kenny. I mean, I put everything into it, all cards on the table. I go do everything online. I read everything, right? Yeah. So they tell you, weigh-in is on Friday night. Okay. Well, in my mind, only bodybuilders get weighed in. Figure girls and bikini girls, it's not by weight. It's by height and by age. Okay. So I didn't think I had to go to the meeting Friday night. I show up in the morning. I'm spray tanned. I look good. I got my bikini. I'm ready to go. I got like 10 family members. I get in there and they're like, where's your paperwork? And I was like, oh, what paperwork? I'm here early to register. And they're like, no, registration was last night. And I said, no, but I read the rules on there and it said weigh in and I'm bikini. You don't have to weigh in. And they're like, oh no, you had to have come last night.
Oh, geez.
And I said, okay, well, I see that there's only like 8 bikini girls in this category. It was the very first time they had bikini in that show. Okay. So a girlfriend of mine that was big in the fitness industry, Elaine Goodlad, she knew the guy that put the show on. So she went and talked to him and he goes, no, she can't compete. And Elaine said, are you crazy? So he came up to me, he goes, what happened? So I explained what happened to him and he goes, okay, well, I'm sorry, you can't compete. You didn't do the paperwork. And I said, I'm crying, but trying not to because my makeup's done.
Right.
And I said, I have all these family members here. Like, do you know what we go through to get here? And he goes, yeah, I'm actually I was a competitor myself.
Right.
I said, then you know what we go through to get here. You're going to deny me my first show and I'm a native Las Vegan.
Right.
And he said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to let you walk on stage so your family can see you, but you can't place. And I was like, I felt so defeated.
Right. Right.
And I was like, well, I'm still going to walk. And I'm not saying this to like be whatever, but I really was the best one up there.
Right.
I had the most confidence. I had the best. I would have won the show. So I would have been the first ever Miss Bikini Fitness Las Vegas. And I feel like he stole that from me. So it was really hard.
And I hear you. What did you learn from that though? Or
read the fine print.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say, because I feel like we've all had situations where just something very, very simple and like the rule doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Even with you explaining it to me, I'm like, yeah, I would have saw it the same way you saw it. But sometimes those little things can make a gigantic difference in your life. And I guarantee for your next competition, you made sure you did every piece of paperwork to the T.
To the T.
Yeah.
Well, my girlfriend said, F them, we're going to LA. There's a show in 30 days. And so my girlfriend Elaine came with me and we went to LA and I did the show there.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it was great.
So yeah, it's easier said than done. You can't let those situations be like, get you too down. You were still able to walk. You found another show, great. But yeah, I've been there. We've all been there where it's, something costs you big time. But the positive is you're never going to make that mistake again.
Never have.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there someone in your life who supported you, believed in you when others didn't? Anyone that stands out that's made a substantial impact that you can share? And that can be in styling, that can be in fitness, that can be when you were younger. But is there anyone that comes to mind where you're like, this person made a substantial impact? They truly believed in me or gave me confidence at a time when I was lacking?
Yes. I am so blessed to have two unbelievable brothers.
Okay.
An older one and a younger one, so I'm smack dab in the middle.
In the middle.
So I'm the only girl. I'm the middle child.
Okay.
I'm the only princess. And I can honestly tell you that throughout my entire life, no matter what's going on, personal, competing, work, love, marriage, all the things, that those two have been my bookends.
Awesome.
Always. I could lean this way on the younger one for things, and I could lean this way on the older one for things. Both of my brothers are into fitness, have always worked out. Our dad always worked out. And so they are like my biggest cheerleaders.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Super grateful.
And it's great to have that support system. Not everyone is lucky enough to have that. But when you do have it, you definitely got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure.
What advice would you give to someone out there that may be watching this, or someone that wants to compete or model or even build a personal brand like you've built?
Mm-hmm.
What are some key things that, if they want to kind of model themselves after what you're doing? So just some advice that you could throw out there for them.
I would think the first step would be go watch a couple shows.
Okay.
Go watch a couple shows so you can even see what it's about and what you have to do.
That's what you did too, right?
Right.
That first, okay.
The first time, the very first show. Because I think that a lot of people, and more so nowadays, I think that people are getting on the fitness train, or there's just so much more information about being healthy and how it elongates your life and all the things that come with it. And I think it's really becoming, hopefully, an epidemic, I would like to say, right? That everyone's like getting their shit together, right?
Yep.
But I think that there's a lot of people who are cool with the workout,
right?
Not so great in the kitchen.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that is really the hack.
Yeah.
The kitchen is the hack.
You can't
it's
work.
Not the gym.
You can't work your way out of a bad diet.
Nope, you cannot.
Yeah.
You can train and you can cardio and you can do everything you want to do. But you better eat right.
I agree.
That's going to be the main thing.
I saw a video somewhere one time of this guy where he was like, okay, you're going to burn 100 calories. And they put him on like a treadmill and he was like running. He was like, okay, keep going, keep going. And then like the next clip was like, okay, you cannot eat this hamburger. And then that's a lot easier than, that's a lot easier way to burn 100 calories than doing what you were trying to do, like running on a treadmill. So yeah.
Exactly.
The magic happens in the kitchen for sure.
So I would definitely say go check out a show. Because even if you can, let's say, start off with the workout, you have to know if you're disciplined enough to do the diet, because that's 80% of it.
Right.
And then by watching them, a lot of girls are like, oh no, I could never do that. I know girls who are fit, who walk around fit and are like, I could never do that. I'd be too scared. I'm scared to walk in high heels, all these things. So seeing a couple shows is definitely going to give you an idea of what that's going to look like.
Interesting.
Then from there, I think it's really up to you. Like, I'm a go-getter, right? I put myself out there. I contact people. I let them know what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm interested in, what I love. And so by doing that, you really have to be proactive to build a brand, to build a name, to let people know who you are. It's not just going to fall from the sky. I mean, it might for some people, but for the most part, you need to do the work.
See, I love that. I love that. You have to take action. Manifesting and positive thoughts don't work without action.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's a big thing that I see, like, oh, think positive, believe in yourself, blah, 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 blah. Like, whatever. Nothing will happen until you take action.
That's right.
So the more action you take, then all of a sudden you'd be surprised when it starts falling in place.
Yeah. That's just a goal. You need a plan to get to the goal.
Facts. That's facts.
So yeah.
What about people that have trouble like getting motivated? Are there any hacks that you have for it takes a level of discipline, yes, but also motivation to wake up and do your fasted cardio.
Yeah.
To measure out the half a cup of broccoli.
Yeah.
So discipline, yes, you could say you got to be disciplined. Discipline is basically doing things that you have to do even when you don't want to do it. Like
exactly. That's what kicks in. Is
that's
the
what
discipline.
Kicks
exactly.
In.
Consistency.
So would it be fair to say that, if you need motivation for everything, you may not get to where you want to go. You got to have the discipline to do what you have to do, even though you don't want to, because that's what's going to get you to your ultimate goal.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why not everybody can do it.
Exactly.
And earlier when you had asked me the why, we didn't get there. But part of my why is because I love the fact that not everybody can do this.
Yes.
And it shows strength.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes. And I feel like when you're walking around in public and you take good care of yourself, that commands respect.
Absolutely. People look at you differently.
People look at you differently and have a certain level of respect because they know it's not easy to look like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it was easy, everyone would be ripped with six packs. If it was easy to do, but it's not. So respect comes from having things that are hard to get. And I feel like you can't get things that are hard to get without a certain level of discipline.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people are like, oh, I need to be motivation. And, I'm no motivational speaker or anything, but I do think it's important, especially on this platform. I want people to watch this and understand that you don't have to love everything that you do or be overly passionate and happy about, I have a background in engineering and, I see guys that are making billions of dollars from concrete.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sure the owner isn't super passionate about concrete.
Exactly.
And rocks. He doesn't wake up there like, boy, I'm excited to go and pour this concrete.
To kick rocks.
Right. But you know what? It makes a ton of money. And he's very disciplined.
Right.
So when you're disciplined and you're successful, that'll give you all the motivation that you need, right?
That's right.
So I think it's very important whether you're making wine, whether you're doing hair, no matter what your endeavor is, if you want to be respected and you want a certain level of success, you got to be disciplined.
Absolutely.
And if you need to be motivated to do everything, or if you need someone else to tell you to be motivated, it's going to be hard for you.
Yeah. I think that for a lot of people, a good way to start out is to get a trainer.
Yeah.
Because what it makes you do is have accountability.
Yes.
And I think that people might move like a snail until they start seeing themselves change.
Yes.
And so once you start seeing the change, you become motivated.
once you see some success,
exactly.
then you're like, okay, you're going to lean into it more.
I got a little cut here. My stomach is a little bit tighter. My booty's a little bit higher. I'm going to keep this up because this is working.
Yes.
So I think that for a lot of people, hiring a trainer is a great way to start because it holds you accountable. You got to be there. No one's trying to waste their money, and good trainers aren't cheap.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good first step if you're really interested.
And that's very interesting. I love that point you make because a trainer will help you see the level of work you need to put in to get what you want. You can go and try and work out yourself, but you need that trainer to push you to that point past where you're comfortable to see what it's going to take.
Yes.
And then once you see that it works, then okay, you know what you need to do pretty much going forward. And you can still keep your trainer, but at least you know the level of work that it's going to take in order to accomplish your goal. So.
And one thing I will say is get you a trainer who's in shape.
Oh, well.
Listen.
Hold on, wait. There's people out here with out of shape trainers?
I see some people walking around. I'm like, you're a trainer? I'm like, wow. And this person's paying you to train them? I mean, I don't want to talk shit.
No, you can't do that. Look.
I sadly go to LVAC.
People, wait, I do too.
And you see some...
hold on, wait. Which location do you go to?
Green Valley.
Okay.
I drive from Summerlin to Green Valley for my trainer.
Okay.
Because I will drive till the ends of the earth for him.
No, yeah. And LVAC, great gym. I've been working out there since high school. Now that you mentioned, I know what you're talking about. I've definitely seen some where it's like, hold on, that's the trainer?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you would think you would hire a trainer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason that I bring that up is because my trainer has taught me so much in the last 3 years.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Not that I thought I knew everything by any means, but when you have a trainer who knows what they're talking about, educates you, tells you the why, right? Teaches you about food, all these things. You're just a plethora of knowledge and it can only make you better.
Right.
So make sure that you choose your trainer wisely.
Right. I love it. Okay, just a couple more questions here. So after achieving so much, being a master stylist, and then being a fitness model, what are your future goals? What's next? Any future projects you're working on? Any upcoming competitions?
Yes. So I had decided when I got back into the industry a couple years ago, because of the dieting and all that kind of stuff, that I was going to decide. I knew at that point, right when I did one after 11 years, I want to do at least one a year. But
One a year.
But most people end up doing two.
Okay.
Because they get ones that are within a month of one another.
Okay.
And you kind of actually are usually better for that second show because you get even a little bit tighter and a little bit more detailed, I could say. So I had decided this is something that I love, that I'm passionate about, and I'm going to do at least one a year, but really two. So I decided I need to decide if I'm going to compete in the front half of the year or the back half of the year.
Yeah.
Last year, I knew this year it would be the front half because I'm going to Europe a couple times.
Okay. Yeah.
I have some personal things going on. In saying this, I won some shows last year. I've just won the last 2 shows. So my trainer and my posing coach, who's actually been my friend since we were 20 years old, are trying to push me for my pro card. I'm not quite sure if I want to do it or not. Because you first have to go to a national show and win that to be able to go for a pro card.
Yeah.
So
what makes you unsure? Why that apprehension?
So first and foremost, I feel like I love doing my little local shows.
Yeah.
Once you become a pro, you can't do those shows anymore. You have to do a pro show.
Oh, okay.
You can't compete I don't want to say it's for fun, but it is. This doesn't validate who I am.
Right.
This is something that I love to do and it makes me push myself and look great and all these things, but I don't need that to validate who I am or any of that. So it's started off with the fact that I didn't want to stop doing the local shows.
Right.
And then I think that there are other things that you have to do if you're going to compete at a pro level I maybe
Agreed.
don't want to partake in. And that's okay. I judge no one. So those are kind of my 2 maybe not wise.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Makes sense. Okay. Well, those are all the questions I had for you. I appreciate you coming on so much.
Of course.
If anyone wants to follow you, give us your Instagram or your social media. Just
my Instagram is bougiegirl23.
Yes.
Because I'm bougie. Even in the fitness thing, I love, putting outfits together and all kinds of stuff like that.
Right.
So again, to me, it's all arts.
Right.
Even the workout
and
the competition is artistic.
Right.
It's artistic expression.
Right.
Right. And so I'm lucky to have outlets. I have hair. I have that. and I do wardrobe styling.
Yeah.
And so I'm very, very blessed.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that the way you've set up your life, I feel like everything kind of flows together in a very unique way. I feel like you have multiple avenues of fulfillment, multiple reasons why you do everything that you do. And I think that's very important for any person to have, to be happy and to live a fulfilling, sustainable life. So I think you've done that to a T.
Thank you.
You're elite in every sense of the word. And so I appreciate you coming on for sure.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey,
it's been great.
No problem.